The film begins in Iraq, where Al-Qaeda terrorists have threatened some American soldiers. Marine John Triton is sent to report the situation and wait for reinforcements. But seeing that his companions are at risk, he decides to venture out on his own. Just before the soldiers are executed, John surprises the terrorists with his machine gun. He is also highly skilled in hand-to-hand combat, using his enemies as human shields after finishing off the last terrorist. John frees the soldiers, and together they blow up the Al-Qaeda camp with the help of an allied helicopter. Despite his heroic act, John is put on leave for disobeying orders in the recent operation. With no other option, he returns home to the United States, reuniting with his wife Kate, who sees John's dismissal as an opportunity to start over. On the other hand, we meet Rome, a veteran criminal who robs a jewelry store with his gang, Morgan, Cider, and Ben, to gain access to the vault. Rome threatens a civilian who turns out to be his girlfriend Angela, another member of his group. After receiving the diamonds, the vault employee asks Rome to slap him so the police won't suspect him, as he is also one of his henchmen. However, Rome takes it too seriously and shoots him in the head without thinking. As they leave the jewelry store, instead of escaping, Rome's gang opens fire on the police. Yes, there will be many more explosions in this story. After the assault, Detective Van Buren shows up at the jewelry store, where he deduces that the vault employee helped the thieves, despite ending up with a bullet in the head. We return to John, who, trying to reorganize his life, accepts a job as a security guard in a corporate building. His first serious case doesn't take long to appear when a man, Drake, shows up out of nowhere, yelling horrendous things at his ex-girlfriend who works in one of the offices. Since Drake refuses to calm down, John restrains him and directs him to the exit of the building. However, Drake calls his bodyguard, starting a fight against John and his partner. In a jiffy, the ex-Marine takes them all down, but not before throwing Drake through a glass door. For a moment, such a display of brute force gets John fired, although he didn't enjoy that job anyway. His true purpose in life was being a Marine, but now that he has lost it, he is uncertain about his future. Meanwhile, Rome settles into a luxurious hotel room, talking on the phone with an anonymous ally who will buy the diamonds, and they arrange a meeting for the next day. Seeing her husband's fight on television, Kate suggests going on vacation to clear his mind and calm his violent side. The next day, while traveling through South Carolina, John and Kate stop at a gas station to refuel. Coincidentally, Rome and his gang are also there buying supplies. They are in a peaceful mood, but the situation turns tense when a couple of officers arrive at the station. Rome tries to maintain his composure as one of the officers approaches him, but he gets distracted long enough for Morgan to shoot the policeman in the back. The other officer tries to escape in his patrol car, but Rome shoots him. The other thieves finish off the poor employee overseeing the station, just as they had done before. Since their Cadillac is flagged by the police, Rome and his henchmen steal John's truck. John, barely recovering from the blow, watches helplessly as his wife is kidnapped. To ensure there are no witnesses, the criminals cause a massive explosion, one that no one could survive unless their name is John Cena. After that, John carefully removes the injured officer from his vehicle, borrowing it to chase the criminals. Meanwhile, Kate attempts to escape multiple times from her kidnappers, proving she has as much courage as her husband. Speaking of John, he quickly catches up with them thanks to his incredible driving skills. With no other choice, the thieves open fire on him, leaving his car riddled with bullet holes. John relentlessly continues the chase, determined to rescue his wife. They pass through a construction zone, nearly running over several workers. With a tremendous jump, both cars return to the road, but John pushes them into another construction area where a crane completely tears off the top of their vehicle. The chase continues to a cliff, where Rome stops to take down John and fire at him. However, his plan does not go as expected, though the outcome works in his favor. John crashes into the side of his truck, causing him to be launched into the air while his patrol car explodes into ashes. Witnessing this, the criminals believe they have finally gotten rid of their persistent pursuer. Meanwhile, Kate releases her anger, accusing them of being murderers. After silencing their hostage with duct tape, the gang tries to reorganize their plans since one of the truck's tires was blown out. Furious at the situation, Rome blames Morgan for being a terrible shooter, but he quickly restores order, reminding them they still have diamonds to deliver, even if they have to do it on foot. At the same time, Van Buren and his team investigate the destroyed gas station, where the detective runs into John, recognizing him as the man who reported the recent assault. Instead of arresting him for taking justice into his own hands, Van Buren lets him go to complete his mission. We return to Rome's gang as they make their way through a disgusting swamp. Once again, Morgan taunts Becerra to annoy him. To end the argument once and for all, Rome shoots and kills his least useful ally, whose body becomes food for the nearby crocodiles. Meanwhile, the police launch a massive operation using helicopters and boats to track down the criminals. John does the same, but his only resource is his own two legs. His journey takes him to the place where Becerra recently died, where he retrieves the deceased's combat knife. Later, Rome receives a call from his anonymous buyer, but he decides to cut him out of the plan since he hasn't helped them at all along the way. As unpredictable as always, Rome makes suggestive remarks toward Kate, telling her they would have a beautiful relationship if not for the one who watches them jealously from afar. Of course, Kate is extremely uncomfortable with the situation. Meanwhile, John follows his enemy's trail but falls into a net trap. Using his new knife, he manages to escape, but just then the owners of the trap appear, a couple of criminals on the run. Mistaking John for a policeman, they refuse to let him go. At the same time, Rome's gang reaches an abandoned bar on the riverbank where they decide to hide in the vegetation until the police clear the area. Hours later, John wakes up tied to a chair in a warehouse with his kidnappers refusing to listen to his explanation. With no other option, he headbutts one of them, then throws himself onto the floor to break the chair into pieces. Now free, the ex-Marine takes on the other captor, who initially gains the upper hand. However, John manages to neutralize him by ramming him into a column. Back in his pursuit, John arrives just as the criminals are entering the bar. When Morgan goes outside to look for a generator on the lower dock, John surprises him from behind. Although the giant quickly gets rid of him, the fight escalates until Morgan smashes a bottle over John's head. However, John counterattacks, stabbing Morgan in the stomach and killing him instantly. Meanwhile, Rome and his gang enjoy the boat's electricity in the jukebox, completely unaware of what happened below. Then, Rome comes up with a new plan to sell the diamonds to a new buyer in Phoenix. However, he needs Bennett to restart the boat. The criminal barely steps off the dock before he is intercepted by John, who throws his gun into the water and smashes him against a pile of wood, hiding his body next to Morgan's. At that moment, a silent Van Buren appears, determined to take down the remaining criminals. However, John asks for more time to execute his own plan. His first move is cutting off the bar's electricity, something Kate takes advantage of to attempt an escape. Angela chases after her, leading to a fierce fight in which Kate initially appears to have the upper hand. However, Angela eventually gains the advantage, threatening her with a gun. Meanwhile, John and Van Buren corner Rome inside the bar. It is then revealed that Van Buren was the anonymous buyer all along, and his only interest is the diamonds. Rome, seeing an opportunity, asks Van Buren to execute John in exchange for a portion of the diamonds. But before he can shoot, John rushes toward Van Buren, using him as a human shield to protect himself from Rome's bullets. Rome sets fire to the bar. I told you there would be more explosions. Once again, John miraculously survives by jumping into the river, although his target escapes. Shortly after, a police boat appears, and without hesitation, John steals it in the name of justice. On their way to Phoenix, Rome and Angela abandon the late detective's car, stealing a truck and killing its driver. As night falls, Kate notices John following them from the river and distracts Rome long enough for her husband to leap onto the truck. John reaches the passenger door, throwing Angela onto the road where she is run over by a bus. Her diamonds scatter across the pavement. Still hanging onto the truck, John fights to stay on as Rome tries to shake him off by crashing into booths and other obstacles. Eventually, John is thrown to the ground, but Rome loses control and rams into gas canisters, causing a massive explosion. Despite this, the vehicle remains standing and Rome jumps out just before it crashes into more explosive barrels inside a warehouse. In the end, the truck falls into the river, with poor Kate still inside. However, before John can save her, he must deal with the relentless Rome. The two engage in a brutal hand-to-hand fight as the burning warehouse crumbles around them. Rome attacks John with a chainsaw, but John defends himself with a wrench before landing a powerful combo of punches. Rome is ultimately trapped beneath a pile of burning debris. Finally, our hero dives into the water, reaching the sunken truck and pulling his unconscious wife back onto the dock. Kate shows no signs of life, but John revives her with CPR. Suddenly, Rome, his skin completely burned, emerges from behind, attempting to strangle John with a chain. However, the ex-Marine turns the situation around, finally eliminating his nemesis. Now free of all danger, John kisses Kate passionately as the paramedics approach. And so ends this great movie. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below and tell me what movie or series you want me to recap next.